Good evening and welcome to Chasing Prophecy on the Oracle Talk Radio Network, broadcasting live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm here with my co-host, John Ventry. Twas a week before Christmas and all through the studio. A bunch of crazy things are going on, John.
Hey, is this the last show of the year? Because next Thursday is Christmas and following is New Year's.
Yep. Can you
Oh,
believe it?
okay. Yeah, so that's it. Last show of the year.
Yeah, pretty much, I think, because New Year's is on, let's see.
Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, Thursday. Yep. Last year. Yep. You're right. That's not crazy.
Yeah.
So a lot of crazy things. Tom will be back, I believe, at the end of February. I'm not sure exactly the day, but I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it was a crazy week for me. I am a new grandma. I have 5 grandbabies. This was a crazy week. Little guy had to go to the NICU unit at West Penn Hospital. So I'm so glad he's home. And John encountered a ghost in his attic.
Yeah, like an idiot, I deleted the video because I was looking for a rodent. Because it's weird. The night that Fred passed away, in the middle of the night, I heard all this banging and scratching. I could hear wood breaking upstairs, And when I checked it in the morning, Fred Saluga, that passed away, I saw in the corner some boards that it was either trying to get out or get in. I don't know. But I figured I have a rodent. So I put my Bing camera, I took it from downstairs, put it in the attic. And it was a good week or more, 10 days. And it finally went off. This is the 3rd time the Bing camera's gone off. Once in my office here, once in the kitchen, and I didn't see anything, right? But this one was in the attic, and maybe because it was so dark up there, what I saw was this white mist. And I looked at it and said, why is there a mist in my attic? But I'm looking at the video for any movement, for a squirrel or something. So I said, there's nothing there. I deleted it. So then I'm thinking about it. I said, John, you just caught a ghost and you deleted the video.
You could deload. Yep, you deleted it.
I'm so angry with myself. That was absolutely a ghost.
Well, you're going to have to go back up there and do it again. This time,
the camera's still up there. It's funny. The only time it made those noises was the night that Fred Saluga passed away. And there is damage there. I mean, there's damage. There's floorboards, wood broken out in the corner, like something was trying to claw its way in or out,
That's
Who knows?
Crazy. That's crazy. Well, next time you're going to have to be a little bit quicker and don't delete anything.
Yep.
So, so before we bring our guest on tonight, we have Chucky Danger in the house. I just wanted to touch base because we're probably just going to go right through until we're done with his interview. We're not going to have time. So, 3-Eye Atlas.
Well, MUFON I hate 3-Eye Atlas, but MUFON put out a big analysis. I try to pick out the bullet points because this would take me 15 minutes to read this. It's probably 4 pages long. But, it was discovered July 1st of 25. It's only the 3rd interstellar object we've ever observed. That Oumuamua, and then there's Borisovov and 3-Eye Atlas. So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we know? To me, it's a comet. It's got a coma and a tail. It's outgassing, unusually high CO2 levels. It's very fast. It's interstellar.
Why don't you believe it could be something else? Why? Because
I don't believe in life in space. I believe that what we experience is interdimensional.
Well, yeah, I do believe that too. But why do you think it can't be?
Because to me, that the brightness of it and the tail, that's a freaking comet. I mean, I've seen comets before. So it says why speculation has flourished. That is incomplete. The object's so far away.
It's making these signals that are similar to settings.
All made up. That's all made up.
Okay.
Maybe
Chucky will we'll see what he has to say.
Okay, so let's
bring him on.
You can bring him in.
Chucky is widely recognized for his UV, what is that? Bigfoot theory, light theory. and he believes in the light spectrum and everything. Like, I'm not really sure, so we're gonna have to ask him about that. And Nuclear Medicine Man, Paranormal Portal. These are some of his podcasts. So he's really into Sasquatch and cryptic
Okay.
encounters. So we're gonna bring him on. So welcome, Chucky, to Chasing Prophecy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm glad. So since we're gonna talk, what do you think about Three Eye Atlas?
I think there is such information saturation, and that is meant for just being like absolutely confusing to everyone. I am kind of on the idea that it's just a comet.
Yeah, me too.
But it's an abnormal comet for sure, because like it's almost solid nickel. So
Yeah, that's kind of strange.
and like the size of Manhattan.
Yeah, it's big.
That's a big chunk of nickel.
Yeah,
You know how many
exactly.
quarters they can make out of that?
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you
But,
what some people have said
I mean,
here.
it's
You got-
off-gassing in a weird way. So like they call it the anti-tail. So
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of the comet's tail going behind it, it's going in front of it. And it's changed colors twice now.
Yeah. So
Probably
explain
with-
that, John.
Probably with light hitting it and stuff. But here are the experts. This is what they say. Avi Loeb, he's the one guy that's made the biggest deal out of this thing. However, Loeb repeatedly clarifies by far the most likely explanation is that Three Eye Atlas is a natural interstellar comet. Greer. I mean, and I saw the interview with Loeb too. I mean, he really played this because they're all part of that same cabal in the government there that's trying to make this whole UFO thing to be something they want it to be. So Stephen Greer urges caution, most likely a stray asteroid. He warns the narratives around the object could be leveraged to generate unnecessary fear. Dolan, he's always non-confrontational. He thinks Loeb is plausible enough to listen to, but Loeb changed his whole story to it's a comet now. Mark D'Antonio, I won't quote him because he's a government insider with contracts with the Navy, and he don't like me, and we've told each other that, so I won't quote him.
John has
Mickey,
a reputation, Chucky.
Okay.
because I tell the truth. I tell the truth. And I made sure he didn't get on the MUFON board when I was on the
Oh,
board.
God.
Because the guy said here's their video analyst, and he's never ever seen a photo or a video that was a true UFO. I said, well, then you can't be on our board. Michio Kaku, right? He
Yeah,
was,
exactly.
he shocked everybody. He said there's no tail or outgassing, despite the close approach to the sun, no visible mass loss. It's unexplained orbital shift. Let's see why we don't have to go through why people want it to be true.
Well,
Group dynamics. Well, I just picked some stuff out.
Its
This is
closest approach to Earth is tomorrow.
Oh, is it?
yeah,
tomorrow?
he's supposed to be most
Yeah.
visible tomorrow, and you can actually see it. Is it with the naked eye or with a little telescope?
You might be able to see it with binoculars.
you
See,
can
I'm going
see
to
it.
go outside with this. I'm going to see it.
You're not going to see it from Pittsburgh. You can't see anything.
Maybe we'll get lucky and have a clear sky. But
So-
we'll talk
so it's-
more about.
Do
Go
you
ahead,
want me to
John.
keep going? I mean, there's a lot of information here. So it could be a piloted craft, a deliberate probe. Is it a threat to Earth? Let's see. Final thoughts. Let's
Might
see.
hit us.
Psychological and social context.
Pick me up.
It reminds us that
I think
curiosity.
it's actually on a trajectory towards Saturn.
Oh, okay. Well, let's hope it hits it.
Why?
I don't have to talk about it anymore.
Okay. I don't know. I've been following it for a while now, and I think it's neat. It's it's like something that you don't see very often, and
Yeah.
it's kind
It's
of
Avi
our
Loeb was
cool.
saying that there's one of the Voyager crafts that's like orbiting Saturn, and if it had more fuel left in it, they could have actually had it impact Three Eye Atlas.
Okay.
But they don't have enough fuel in the probe to put it on the right trajectory.
But they couldn't even get pictures or any readings or anything.
Oh, they got better pictures than what they've shown us for sure.
I mean, the probe.
But Oh, it's not. When it will approach Saturn will be like a couple months down the road.
Okay.
So it's not going to be there yet. It's just approaching Earth at its closest point tomorrow, and then from there it'll go on towards Saturn.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. That's
I'm
cool.
glad it's
But
not hitting us because that would be an extinction level event.
Oh, for
now my
sure.
door just opened. I hope it was somebody here because I got me spooked. Now my door just
Nobody
opened.
walked in.
Talking about ghosts.
I know. So tell me, Chucky. Okay, for people who don't know you, they're meeting you for the first time. How did you get interested in Bigfoot and the paranormal?
I've had a couple close calls with Sasquatch, kind of
Oh,
out hunting and camping, and I've never actually seen one, but I've come very, very close. And I may have got a trail camera photo of like a little bit of hair in the corner. So it's kind of
I'm
been like,
broomstick.
it wasn't really on my radar until like the lockdown and everything. And then I wasn't in the podcast world either. And that's when I started diving into podcasts and I started listening to Sasquatch Chronicles. And
Mhm.
through listening to other people's stories, like I listened to Sasquatch stuff when I was a kid, but I didn't really realize that the owl calls mimicking was a thing that Sasquatch did. And
I didn't know that either.
I had an instance that I looked back on and I was like, oh, well, that was definitely not owls then. Because me and my friends went out camping to this remote mountain lake. It's like way high in the mountains. This was for May long weekend. And we were the first people up that road because we were actually driving through snow and there was no tire tracks in the snow or anything. So we get to this lake and we're just being loud and rambunctious. We were playing music loud and we had a potato cannon and just having fun camping. And then on the third night or so, as we were out there, I wanted to do this little camping party trick where I go to the edge of the lake and I talk to the owls. And so I did my owl call. And almost immediately, I got a response from the side of the lake. And I thought that was fun. And then I'm calling back to it, and it's calling back to me. And then all of a sudden, from on the back side of the lake, there's another owl. And then on the other side of the lake, there's another owl. And then there's another lake like 200 yards away that you can walk to quite easily. And I start hearing owls start calling from over there. So this all seemed like really abnormal because it was quite a lot of owls talking all at the same time. And I just thought it was all fun and games. And then one of the girls that was in the group, she's like, I'm starting to get freaked out by this. Can you like stop talking to them? I'm like, yeah, okay. Like I had my fun with these birds. So I stopped calling. And then after I stopped calling to these owls, the very first one that started responding to me, it stopped sounding like an owl and it devolved into this sound that was almost like a mix between a kookaburra and a chimpanzee.
Oh,
Just like
jeez.
a really fast chatter. And at the time, I just thought it was a stupid owl. I didn't think it was Sasquatch mimicking an owl call. So after I listened to like a dozen or so people that talked about hearing Sasquatch mimic owl calls, I was like, okay, maybe there's something to this. But then there was one particular guest that came on that show and he described it exactly the same way I just did. It sounded like a kookaburra mixed with a chimpanzee. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's what happened that night. And there was another weird instance that night where after most people had gone to bed, there was like 3 or 4 of us left around the campfire. And we were just kind of having like a heart-to-heart conversation. And the truck was still playing music, so like it wasn't quiet. But as we're talking, we had our backs kind of this gravel parking lot where we parked all our trucks. And all of a sudden we just hear running across that gravel parking lot. And this really deep guttural growl, just like, "Rah!"
Wow.
Yeah. So looking back on that, like at the time, we just thought it was like a deranged coyote or something like that. But it
Mhm.
didn't make sense that anything like that would come into a large group of humans whilst also playing loud music out in the forest. So looking back on it, I would almost say that we probably ticked off a group of Sasquatch and got bluff charged by the alpha.
Did you
So
smell anything?
no, I
'Cause
didn't.
a lot of people say they have like a smell, like an odor. You didn't smell
Yeah,
anything.
I've not smelt it. The other time that I came, probably the closest,
Mhm.
it was October 2 years ago. I had just bought a new rifle scope for my hunting rifle, and it got to me late in the mail. So I was sighting in my rifle as hunting season had already started. So I had Fridays off, and I took my son to school, and then I went out to the forest. The morning hunters would have had their fair shot at having a nice, quiet morning hunt. So I set up my target on this hillside so I knew where my bullets were going.
Mhm.
And I'm shooting my 30-06, so it's a loud rifle. And I shoot it like a dozen or so times trying to get my crosshair sighted in. And on the top of this hill, there's all of a sudden just one cedar tree that just starts whipping back and forth. And there's no breeze, there's no sound. But yeah, this tree abnormally is just shaking back and forth. And it didn't make any sense to me because it was way too big of a tree for like a bear to even be pushing up against. And a moose wouldn't do that. This is in the middle of a very rough cut block. So it's not like you could back a truck up to this tree and be like pushing it with the bumper. And it gave me the heebie jeebies. So I took like one or two more shots and then I just got out of there. I was like, nope, I'm
Nope.
not going up
No,
there.
no way.
But
No
I got
way.
curious and I went back the following spring. I just wanted to see, like, let me get a good photo of this tree. So I climbed the hill and I went right up to the tree. And at the base of this tree was a bunch of smaller cedar trees. So even if I did go up to the hill at the original time, I wouldn't have been able to see anything. The tree itself was like 8 to 9 inches in diameter at the base. So like that's a pretty solid tree. And it just didn't make any sense. So I walked a little bit north from there and I went into hunter mode because I found a deer bed. And I'm looking down in it, just seeing if there's any fresh sign kind of thing. And I noticed there was an anomaly in the deer bed. It's made out of this rotten tree that's on the ground. They love the feeling of that kind of sawdusty mulch. And it looked like a human footprint. And when I looked at it closer, it was a bear footprint. So it wasn't very good quality because it had been aged and weathered, but it was about a 14-inch long track
Mhm.
just beside that tree that was shaking that previous fall.
How do you know that the beer wasn't what you thought? You think it's Sasquatch. How do you know it wasn't the beer that was making the sounds? Or is this a totally different time?
Totally different time and event. Yeah. But it's all, as the crow flies, not that far of a region away.
Mhm.
So this is just like the next mountain range over. So not very far. And on that same hillside, I've set up a trail camera looking for deer.
Mhm.
And that trail camera actually got pulled off of a tree and I had it set high up in the tree. It was like 7 or 8 feet up. And the reason I set it up there is because I know that bears can smell the batteries in trail cameras, and they
Oh, I didn't
think
know
it.
they could do that.
Yeah, the batteries to them smells like an ant colony, so that's why they mess with trail cameras.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they can smell the acid.
Hmm.
So I had set it up on this tree and angled it down with some wood so that it would take pictures of the deer. And something had come up from behind the trail camera, reached around and pulled it off of the tree and broke the buckles. And then opened the case, which you need thumbs to open the
Yeah,
case because
you
it's
need
got two
thumbs.
latches on it. Had opened the case and it brought it down the hill like 20 yards or so and put it in the V of two fallen over trees. And it was facing the sky so that it couldn't take a picture of the trail.
That's crazy.
So in the very corner of the first two pictures out of 6 that I got that instance, there was just like a tiny tuft of brown hair, and that was it. So
That's all you got was the brown hair.
that's all I
Would
got.
would you say that what would this be the moment that said, okay, this is real, I have to investigate these things? Or was there
Well,
another one?
what really got my attention was other people telling stories about the eye shine and the glowing eyes. And, that often gets lumped into the woo-woo category of things.
Hmm.
And I was like, I think there's something else going on here. And there's probably a natural explanation for why there might be this eye shine in a mammal like that. And I just started breaking down the facts. I'm like, okay, they're mostly nocturnal from what people describe. So
Hmm.
I'm like, well, what else is nocturnal and what kind of a light source are they using to see at night? And then I come across some studies of owls and flying squirrels and other nighttime critters. And they have different ultraviolet UV expressions for communication at nighttime. So they're using the ultraviolet light in order to see in the dark. And like if you take 3 different owls from 3 different towns or regions and
Hmm.
you stretch out the wing and you're looking at the flight feathers and you put an ultraviolet flashlight to them, the flight feathers will express a different UV pattern depending on the region which they come from, which lets them know where they belong to which group of owls, and it helps them identify each other while they're flying.
I did not know that.
It's really cool. And the flying squirrel, which is a nocturnal version of a squirrel, they only come out at night, but when they get expressed with a UV flashlight, what we see normally is just a little gray squirrel. But when you put it under the ultraviolet light, it gets neon pink, blue, and orange. So they start getting this level of communication that we just can't see with our naked eye. But everything else in the forest is able to see this spectrum. Plants also have different UV expressions that we can't see with our naked eye. Like tree lichens kind of blend in with the bark. They're like a gray green that blends in. But if you put an ultraviolet flashlight on it, they go neon orange. So stuff expresses in these wild various colors in the ultraviolet spectrum. So Sasquatch, being a predator, would use this for hunting. It would be very easy for them to pick out prey at a distance if they can see these ultraviolet expressions. And when we see them
Fascinating.
have the glowing eyes, what I think that is they're bouncing UV light from the back of their eyeball as they look at you. And that's why it looks like it's glowing.
Well, you know what? Sometimes when my dog at night, his eyes glow.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the same thing? Like,
I think so. I think that's what that is. So every living thing on this planet that is alive is actually emitting ultraviolet light. Like our human bodies actually express ultraviolet light as well. Our bones work like LEDs, and it's just such a weak UV signature that we just can't see it with our naked eye. But if you have special machinery, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And it expresses as like a dull red brown light. But everything else that uses that spectrum for their daily vision can see that. And another really interesting thing is us as humans, when we're born with stripes and spots on our skin that you just can't see with your regular vision. But if you had UV vision, you can see it. So I think back in our ancient past, before we got really into technology, we could see the UV. And that is the origin of the tradition of war paint. So when people put the lines and stripes on their skin, I think it started originally as like a kind of like an oral tradition, but it was a way of remembering seeing the stripes on our skin. And it was just a way of remembering it. And then over time, it got used for war, and then the idea and memory of it just got lost.
So is that why you think that the trail cameras and those cameras that you see outside fail to capture these things like Bigfoot and Sasquatch?
I think Bigfoot has a variety of senses that a lot of other animals have as well. I think it has to do with like the electromagnetism. I think they can see the infrared beam from the camera, because a lot of animals can see in the infrared as well. So I think, and what I found with the UV is, even if you have your trail camera that has a nice camo pattern on it, when you put a UV light on that nice camo pattern, the plastic really sticks out.
Okay.
So it gets this unnatural shade to it that it sticks out like a sore thumb, even though you think with our vision it's nice and hidden.
John, what do you think about that?
Well, the one comment I got is on the eyes, with emitting. I had read years ago that your eyes use 25% of your body's energy. Reading. That's why when you read a book, whether you get tired, your head stuff, your eyes use up energy. So what you said, I believe that they're giving off something,
Oh, for sure.
It's like two flashlights using up the batteries.
Yep. Actually, the one spot on your body that emits the most light is your tongue.
Oh,
really?
And yeah.
So when I come home at night and have to put the key in and I can't see it, I'll put my tongue out.
Well, that kind of goes into this crazy theory that, like in the Bible, it says like your words have power.
Yeah.
But when you're talking, you're infusing your words with the light from your body. So it kind of goes into that frequency, sound, and vibration area.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So one
go ahead,
time,
John.
Last summer, I went upstairs to brush my teeth at night, and I don't know if it was a screech owl. I don't know what it was, but it was, I don't know, 200-300 feet away, and I heard it. It would give off its hoot, screech, whatever. So
yeah,
I went to the bathroom window and I just mimicked it. And each time it did it, I did it, and each time it came closer and closer and closer, till the last time when I did it, it seemed like it was 30 feet away in my yard. And at that point, I shut the window and locked it. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
Chucky, many researchers, they always report that the trail cams have glitches, and sometimes they miss time, or their files get corrupted, cameras shutting down.
Yes.
Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Well, I mean, with my trail camera, it definitely didn't take the photos that it should have. So like when the arm must have reached around from behind the tree and it pulled it off, I got the two clips of just the hair from the arm, or what must have been the arm, in the very corner of the frame. But
Mhm.
as that trail camera was moving to the spot where it was facing the sky, there was no photos until all of a sudden there was just photos of sky.
Hmm.
So
That's cool.
the whole time that trail camera was moving to that new location, there was no photos. And I think the biggest clue for that, which takes this in a really weird direction, actually comes with the new documentary, The Age of Disclosure. So in that documentary, they talk about these UFOs being in a time-space bubble
Mhm.
where whenever they try to take photos of UFOs, they always come out blurry. And the explanation they give is it's like taking a picture of a koi fish in a pond.
Mhm.
So if you take a picture outside of the pond, you're going to get the distortion of the water because it's taking a picture through another environment. But if you put your camera in the water, you can get a nice clear photo of that fish. So if Sasquatch is an interdimensional being that is using the same way of transportation, and it's got its own little time-space bubble as it transfers through dimension, that could be what is messing up trail cameras, because UFOs also mess up with radar. The radar pings don't happen the same way that they should.
So do you believe then that Bigfoot is a primate, a mammal, interdimensional, comes with UFOs as a guest? What do you think?
I think I'm kind of split on my idea of what they are. I had the thought that maybe they were the original human species on this planet, and they are just a branch of humanity that rejected technology. Now, if you're familiar with what happens to farm animals when they get released into the wild, I can't remember the word off the top of my head, but if you take like a farm pig and it goes out into the wild, they very quickly start turning on genes in their body that gets them to express the same way they would as a wild boar. So they go from that soft pink farm pig color, they go brown and they start growing hair and they start growing tusks. So, and they get a lot bigger. Other animals will do that too. So what if we are more like a domesticated version of a human, and they are the wild version of a human? And instead of technology, they took more like the psychic route, where they're a lot more spiritually in tune with their surroundings. I mean, with the telepathy tapes and everything, mind speak now doesn't seem so far-fetched. Because if nonverbal autistic kids are able to communicate with their parents through nonverbal communication, mind to mind, I don't see it being so far-fetched that maybe these Sasquatch can do the same thing.
There's the telepathy, use telepathy too. They're
Yeah.
communicating. Do you find that the when you were talking about the owls,
Mm-hmm.
the reoccurring owl sounds reported around Bigfoot,
Yes.
is that like a coincidence, or are they actually? Do you believe that they're communicating?
I think it's a very subtle way of communication without like kind of giving away what they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe they try to think they're tricky. I think in some instances it's not so subtle. Like you get people that report hearing like an 800-pound owl. But the ones that I was talking to, you couldn't really tell the difference that they weren't a great horned owl
No.
until the one started doing that kookaburra chimpanzee chatter. And then if it was a group of Bigfoot, that was maybe a young one that just got excited.
Mm-hmm. Like there was a documentary with David Pilates did that missing 411 hunted at the end.
Yep.
I believe at the end, was it at the end where they were talking? They went, where did they go? Simona? I can't remember exactly where they went. They're camped and they were in this, I don't know what you want to call it. They couldn't see Bigfoot couldn't see them, and I don't think they could see up, but they heard
Oh,
the
in
chatter.
the Sierra sounds, yeah.
Yeah, they could hear them like communicating, like
Yeah, that's that
making weird.
samurai chatter.
Yeah, the same thing. Could that be like the same kind of?
I think that's more along the lines of like their actual language.
Okay,
Because
language.
they had a Navy linguist listen to that, and he identified it as an actual language. He just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know what they're saying.
You don't know what they're
Are
saying.
there any Bigfoot sightings? You know, they're always around mountainous forest areas, but are there any Bigfoot sightings that are out in like the, desert or New Mexico, somewhere that's flat, there's no caves, that type of terrain? Is there? You ever hear
Surprisingly,
any?
yes.
There is.
Surprisingly, yes.
Because I was kind of thinking that they hide in the caves and kind of that hollow earth theory that, like you mentioned, the original species or some species
Yes.
went underground because there was asteroid strikes and comets and not comets, meteors that hit the planet and the flood. So they went into caves to survive.
Well, down in America where you guys are, you got the Mammoth Cave System, which is the largest cave system that we know about.
Well, yeah, it's 426 miles underground in Kentucky.
So I don't think that would be far-fetched of an idea.
Where are you from?
I'm in British Columbia.
Oh,
so
okay.
We're kind of like the hot spot for Sasquatch in the world.
I was just up in Vancouver a couple of months ago in Canada.
Okay,
filming a new TV series. If
that's very close to Sasquatch National Park, where the name Sasquatch actually originated from.
Wow.
Now, do you have any like Native American stories? Because I know out in Mount Shasta, the Native Americans there say that Bigfoot guards the openings, the caves there and keeps humans out. But tell us a Native American story, because I like those.
Yeah. So I recently just did a podcast episode about the Ogopogo, which is like the Okanagan's version of Loch Ness. And during that, I heard all kinds of different native tales about the different cryptids in this area. And some of it actually really surprised me because it's not stuff that you hear mainstream. And they identified that there is the Ogopogo, which is the great spirit of the lake to them. There's the Sasquatch or the Forest Brothers. There's the little people, which we would call like the Pukwudgie. Or there's this other species that is often reported in the Okanagan stories of dwarves. Yep. And they were very mischievous, and they would steal fish from their nets in the night. There's also a differentiation between Sasquatch and mountain giants. So there used to be a race of mountain giants that would steal women and kill the men.
Isn't that like the Nephilims?
Nephilim?
Yeah.
Potentially. I mean, we don't really know what they are. They could be like Neanderthal or another one of those other branches of humanity that died out long ago, so they say. There's a little small town just north of me here, really small town. And there was an old newspaper clipping that I read once where they were redoing Main Street there. And as they were digging it up, they actually found a 8 to 9 foot tall skeleton underneath Main Street. And of course it disappeared.
Of course.
Yeah.
You would love the book I just finished. I haven't uploaded the final version, but my latest book is called Templars versus Indians. And what it is I got them coming over in 1307, and they make friends with the Micmac Indians, and then they battle the Mohican and the Mohawks, and those Indians call upon their gods. So that whole storyline are the Templars fighting what you just said, the dwarves, the little people, Bigfoot, all of the Wendigo. You would love this story because it's all
Oh,
of those
yeah.
creatures, but you got the Templars, knights who,
Got the
with,
Templars are there.
That's
with their
wild.
swords and their arrows. This is the most creative book I've ever written. And then the second half of the book is Hollow Earth Theory, where I talk about these things could be underground. And that's
Sure.
why when you said something, Jenny, I don't believe in life in space. I used to. I don't anymore. After 28 years of researching UFOs,
It's probably
this
coming
stuff
from
is,
here.
yeah, it's either under the ocean or it's underground in these cave systems. And I think a lot of it's interdimensional. It has to do with the I don't want to say the electric field, whatever, but that's, that attracts them like water does. And this stuff, I think, is all coming from down below.
Could
Want to
be.
hear a wild theory?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Ogopogo looks like Loch Ness Monster. It's a horned serpent with like a horse-like face and kind of like a hairy neck. In my town, we got a big lake called Shuswap Lake, and the lake cryptid there is called the Shushwagi. It is also described the same way. In the stories of the native tribes here, it's also associated with a race of merfolk that are twice the size of humans. But the important thing is this sea serpent is connected to a river chain that goes from Vancouver up into the province of BC and then down, and it makes its way all the way to Astoria, Oregon. We get a big salmon run that comes through there. And out by Vancouver Island, there's also another sea serpent out there that's identified as Cadborosaurus. Described the same way. So it's got the horns, it's got the horse-like face, and it's that multi-humped kind of 20-foot long serpent. Also described the same way in Lake Tahoe and other places down in the States. And, Nessie's got the same description. It's also the same as kind of the feathered serpent down in Mexico. And it's kind of the same as the Chinese dragon because it's horned and it's also got the hairy neck. So it's the same creature that's worldwide. And another name for these serpents is a worm. And if you've ever seen the nature documentary where I think it's like the Deep Horizons one, where they take that submarine and they go to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, they start finding these oceans within the ocean. They're like these portholes of super saline water, but it's so dense that they can't even get the rover to penetrate it because the salt is so dense. You get these weird little eel species that can go into it, and they hunt something unknown because we can't see into it, but they can't stay very long in there or they go into what's called toxic shock.
Oh, wow.
So these round portholes could be connected to an inner Earth ocean, and it's just a super saline ocean. Now, maybe these sea serpents, that's their native home. And they come through these holes in the bottom of the ocean, or wormholes, right? And in the Bible, we get the description of Leviathan, right? It's the world serpent. In the Norse, it would be Jormungandr. And in other civilizations, they also talk about the great world serpent. Now, these lake monsters and sea serpents could all just be the spawn of that.
Hear that? It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Sea monsters.
They all have the same description, no matter which country you go to.
Yeah.
They're all connected. It's interesting.
I'm looking, you got that Bigfoot picture there with the deer, right? The Bigfoot's having a beer or something with the deer. I don't want to get
whiskey.
Whiskey. Okay. I don't want to get off topic too much, but just real quick. Did you see the coming attraction for the new movie next summer, Steven Spielberg, called Explosion? With Emily Blunt, right? I don't know. It's like a 2-minute thing, but at the end of it, you've got this like 8-10 point deer walking with this girl. So it kind of gave me the impression that the aliens, instead of being like they used to say, you see an owl, that it's really an alien. Yeah, I mean, are they like the aliens are in deers, or
I think
that's
they
how
can
they
do
want
whatever
you to see
they
it?
want you to think
Or
that.
is that just a screen memory?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
like so. I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember it really being with deers and too much stories. The owls, usually. But then in the whole thing, there's this one
I mean,
line.
sometimes you get those weird stories about deer standing up on their hind legs and walking like a human.
Like the Wendigo.
Those are the not deer stories.
Okay.
That's what they call them.
But there's one line in the preview, and this is the stuff that, I guess for the lay person who's not into UFOs, oh, it makes so much sense. And the one woman says, well, why would God create such a vast universe, with trillions of stars just for us? And then to the average person, oh, yeah, right, there has to be life out there. God don't have a budget. If he wants to make a universe with a trillion stars and one with life, he can do whatever the hell he wants to do. You don't have a budget. And I listen to stupid stuff like that. And Spielberg should know better because he's not a newbie at this, like Lou
Yeah.
Elizondo and the whole crew out there trying to tell us stuff that we heard 30 years ago. But all right, I just had to bring that up because I saw the deer over there,
Well, yeah, and
the deer in the
Chucky,
headlights.
do you think that Sasquatch and whatever Bigfoot is interdimensional, or do you think it's maybe some kind of genetic mess, or do you think
Again,
God created Bigfoot?
I think they are. Well, we get the stories of like Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, Homo florensis, all this and that, just like very similar to Homo sapien. I think they could possibly be that, or I think they could just be like the wild version of us. And like I said, they took more the psychic spiritual gift path instead of technology. And I think technology has dulled our senses, and that's why we don't sense things the same way as everything else in nature does.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, like the reason why we don't see ultraviolet is we don't need to anymore, because it was a nighttime adaptation for before we had fire. So once we start inputting fire into our households and sitting around a campfire all night long, you no longer have that need for the night vision as much. And so those genes just get turned off. Now, when people start doing psychedelic drugs, like mushrooms, for instance, and you go into a pot shop or whatever, and they got the psychedelic posters, right? That are the UV posters. So you turn on your party black light and they glow all those fancy colors. When you can see ultraviolet light, those are the native colors that you see in nature. So when you're on these psychedelic drugs, these mushrooms, what they actually do is they're just rerouting synapses in your brain, and it's turning on what is normally off. And so that psychedelicness of being able to see colors, they're just seeing what's already there.
Okay. You remember that movie They Live, where they put the sunglasses on?
Yes.
I came across something that had nothing to do with UFOs, but we only see 4% of the light spectrum.
Yes.
So you could have something standing right next to you, like the Predator,
Absolutely.
Something could be standing right there, or ghosts or whatever.
Thanks, John.
Spirits. You only see 4%, so you're not seeing a whole lot.
So my theory on stuff like Glimmerman, when you just see like that little outline of like a humanoid figure out in the forest, I think what that is like a higher dimensional being. And what you're actually seeing out of that glimmer is actually its aura. Because if you can train yourself to see human auras, which you can just like hold up your hand to a white wall. And if you stare long enough, you can almost see like a heat shimmer around your fingers. So what that heat shimmer is actually like your human electromagnetic field. So when people talk about seeing the glimmer man, I think they're actually just seeing the aura of this being that's trying to hide from you. But
Yeah.
it can't hide that.
Okay. So do you think there's a specific time of the day or a location or even a behavior that keeps repeating with these encounters? Or do you think it's just
I think that
flying?
varies from region to region. I think that would depend on food. I think some of the time these things are migratory.
Mhm.
Other times, I don't know if they go into like a pseudo hibernation, um, because you'd think you'd find tracks in the snow in the wintertime, and oftentimes some places you do, some places you don't.
Okay.
And like here in BC, it's like a major hotspot for Sasquatch.
Okay. Do you
And
think mainstream science is missing when it comes to the cryptic research? Do you think they're missing it?
oh, I think they're definitely missing out on some key features, like that ultraviolet uh, aspect. The clothing you wear matters because
Mhm.
it might look okay to you, but if you put it in the UV, it might be glowing bright, right? So you could be sticking out like a sore thumb. So I just came across a study recently that was on deer and their rut scrapes. So when they rub their antlers on trees and then they put a bunch of scent on it, what that actually does is that glows in the ultraviolet light like a highway sign. So when deer are in the forest and they see that tree like 50, 100 yards out, it shows up like hot damn. So these signatures are communication methods that everything out there is using. And so Sasquatch would be very tuned into that if that's how it sees. And I
Mhm.
think a good way of testing that out is actually what people have been receiving all along. And that's at gifting sites where they give items instead of food. And Sasquatch gives gifts back,
Like a
and
crow.
like stones,
Okay.
because rocks also have a fluorescent pattern depending on the mineral composition of it. So different gases get trapped in these rocks, and certain ones will fluoresce. My necklace here, this stone is called a euperlite, and it looks just like granite right now. But when you put a UV flashlight on it, it glows bright orange like it's a hot ember out of a fire.
Oh wow. It's
Yeah.
cool.
So my theory is if Sasquatch is giving you these stones that express in the UV signature, it's a more significant way of communication than just giving you a normal rock. I think it would be a way of saying, like, do you see what I see? Kind of thing. So, like,
Yeah.
also when they're throwing stones at you, it could be highly entertaining if you're throwing rocks that are not just normal rocks, but they're the ones that express in the UV. It would look like a tracer bullet.
Cool. So if Bigfoot was proven real tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it was proven real, how do you think it would change our understanding of our reality right now?
I mean, it would let us know that we're not really like the only hominid on the block, for sure, without a doubt. But
Yeah.
um, I don't know if it would actually change all that much.
Well, the
No thing.
Bigfoot features are more human than it is gorilla, right?
Yeah, but it's kind of a blend of the two.
But I mean, it has
Before,
a hand like us. It doesn't have the thumb all the way down here, and the same thing with the feet.
But we haven't really seen
correct,
one to get.
except the footprint is
The footprint,
different.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the foot has what's called the mid-tarsal break. It's got a hinge in the middle of the foot. And so what that is for is when they're climbing a steep hillside, they got that hinge in the middle of the foot so they can put all their weight down. And then when they lift up, you know how we go to the ball of our foot when we lift our foot? They've still got half their foot planted. so they can have more weight transferred to the ground as they're moving, which also gives them that weird gait that people describe seeing. It looks like they're a Nordic skier, how they just glide. And that's because of the foot morphology. So it is different than us.
Do you think the head in people that have seen them,
mhm,
our head sits on our spinal cord, right?
Yeah.
Gorillas and apes don't. It's almost like you put the head and the spinal cord's in the back, like you plucked it in between the shoulders and stuff. It's a totally different neck system than we have. That's like the spinal cord comes up the middle, for example. So do you think the Bigfoot is closer to us or the gorilla, where it's kind of like the face is in the front and the spinal cord's behind it?
Well, they definitely have a much heavier musculature than us.
Mm-hmm.
So the connection muscles from the back of the skull to the shoulder are definitely a lot thicker, which makes it look like it's
the
just
neck,
the head sitting on the shoulders.
Yeah.
So when they turn their heads, it's a lot different too. A really good example of that is the Paul Freeman footage. Is probably, other than like the Patterson Gimlin footage, what I would say is the best evidence of a Sasquatch on video.
So if we ever found one, the first thing they would do would be those type of comparisons. Because, I look at things with evolution and creation, and, the creationists say, if you look at the ape or the gorilla, there's 20 real distinct differences, like the opposable thumb, where the head sits. There's like, just everything, a lot about them. So that's the first thing they would analyze is the physiology of the Sasquatch and say, whoa, these things are human-like. They're not ape-like or the other way,
So if you look at the enhanced 4K version of the Patterson Gimlin footage, you can actually see the musculature of the Sasquatch.
Yeah, in the thighs, you see it.
Yeah, and what the detail that I most picked up on is as that arm is swinging, on the side right above the hip, the hair is all worn away from where that arm is swinging back and forth. You can see the wear mark. So, that's a detail that you wouldn't add to a costume. Another big difference is I went to a conference and I saw this breakdown of the buttocks muscles. In a gorilla, they're a lot longer and more like a pancake. And in a human, they're kind of like bubble butt, right? So
unless you're a white
well, in comparison to a gorilla.
Okay.
But Sasquatch is somewhere in between. So their musculature works somewhere between gorilla and us Homo sapiens.
Yes, is that all that stuff would be analyzed to see what are they closer to, human or primate?
The arm length is a dead giveaway too. So like if you want to tell a hoax video and a real Sasquatch, the arm length is like a #1 giveaway. It's way longer. Yeah. And the elbow sits in a different spot. So those are the kind of things you can't fake.
I can only imagine how strong they are, because I've seen videos on Facebook of a silverback, and a silverback maybe only stands 5 feet tall, but it is so muscular. And I like a lion come up and attack it, and it just pounds it, and that lion goes flying. Same thing with tigers and other stuff. It hits it with such force, it sends the thing flying, and they weigh probably 500 pounds, a lion, or 800 pounds.
And now make them 8 to 10 foot tall.
Yeah. Well, the strength would be, that's why they can knock trees down.
Yeah. Definitely.
So one detail in my hunting area that I've noticed that I've never heard anybody else talk on is I always look for browse levels to see where the deer and the moose are feeding in different areas. Like it lets you know where they're kind of hanging out on the mountainside. And as you're going down the forest road, the willow trees in the ditch, they love to feed on the leaves there. So you can see at the bottom of the tree where the whitetail and the mule deer are feeding on the tree. You can see where they nibbled off the end of the branches and the leaves are gone. And then you can see above that where the moose browse, and they eat a lot more than the deer, but you can still see that it's chewed off the end of the branch. And then above where the moose feed, I've noticed there's branches that have been stripped clean of leaves, but it almost looks like they've just been pulled off. They're not chewed off, but there's bare branches, kind of that 10-foot range.
That's crazy.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
something before we run out of time. Our last guest, he had a company called Creepy Coffee. So he mailed us coffee, which is cool. Now, are you going to send us cheese?
Cheese.
Chucky cheese.
Oh my goodness.
I had to say that.
It's so funny. Chuck E. Cheese.
I'll
You're
send you
funny.
some cheesy puns. How about that?
So Chucky, what's next for you, and where can people find your podcasts and more information on your research?
Yeah, I usually post all my UV photos on my Instagram, which is just Chucky_Danger. You can find me on Spotify at the Danger Zone Podcast with Chucky Danger. And I am kind of a little bit of the paranormal stuff, but I'm also into regular human dangerous encounters with wildlife, near-death
Cool.
experiences. Like, I think we can learn a lot just from average stories of close calls with people.
Absolutely. Well, it was great to have you on the show tonight. Have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Happy
Christmas.
New Year. And it was so great. John, have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy the rest of the week. And
This is our final show for the year, right?
we'll see you next year.
Yeah.
We'll see you next year. Thanks everyone for joining us. Make sure you share the videos, share the stream. Thank you so much. We'll see you next year.
All right. See you.
Thanks for tuning in to Chasing Prophecy Radio, where nothing is beyond the scope of normal. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube for past episodes, live streams, and more. And if you'd like to be a guest or reach out, email us at chasingprophecyradio@gmail.com. Until next time, keep looking beyond the shadows